Hi everyone. In this video today, I'm gonna share with you the another sort of verb, like the another kind of verb. Those are called as Trennbar verbs. Okay. So as of now, we have seen regular verbs, irregular verbs, we have seen modal verbs, and today we are going to see the fourth type of verb, okay, which are called as Trennbar verbs. What are these? You will going to understand in some time. So when we talk about Trennbar verbs are called as separable verbs. Okay, these are called as separable verbs in English. Now, in German, Trennbare Verben, which is separable verbs, they are always formed by a prefix and then we have a base verb. In certain tenses and sentence structure, the prefix is separated from the verb and moved to the end of the sentence. Okay, you will going to understand what it means in some time. So, as we all know, we have a verb which is called as common. Okay. What is the meaning of common? Common means to come, right? Common means to come. Then we have another verb which is uncommon. Okay. So, what is uncommon? Uncommon means to arrive. Okay. So, do you see, just by the addition of this prefix, this complete verb has become a new verb. So, uncommon does not mean to come, it's a new verb altogether, which means to arrive. So, just by the addition of this this whole verb became a new verb. Okay, and here an is nothing but a prefix. So, likewise, what happens in German is we have a base verb. So, this is the base verb. If you see here, common is the base verb, and then by the addition of certain prefix with the base verb, a new verb creates, and that new verb is having completely new meaning. Okay, and these are some of the prefixes. So whenever these prefixes comes before any base verb, those verb are called as Trennbar verb, separable verbs. Now why it is called as separable, we will going to see some examples here. Okay, so now we all know what is stehen. What is stehen? Stehen means to stand. Okay. Stehen means to stand. Now, if I put auf before it, so aufstehen, it's a new verb altogether in which the base word is stehen and auf is a prefix. So aufstehen means to get up. Okay, for example, I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. So aufstehen is get up. Now, if you see here, example is aufstehen, which means to get up. For example, we have ich stehe auf. Now, if you see in this sentence, what I'm doing is, although my verb is aufstehen, but I'm putting this auf at the end of the sentence, right? So that is why these are called as Trennbar verb. Okay. So whenever these prefixes comes with any verb, in that case, whatever the base verb we have, that base verb, for example, here we have stehen, that is always conjugated according to the subject, and prefix we have to put at the end of the sentence. Okay. So we will conjugate only the base verb according to the subject, and we will put the prefix at the end of the sentence. More examples. Mit common. Mit common means to come along. Now here what I have done is I have put my mit at the end of the sentence, correct? And I have conjugated this common according to my do. Now we have Fernsehen. Fernsehen means to watch television. Okay. So here also I have put the fern at the last, and we have einkaufen. Einkaufen means to shop. Here also I have put my prefix ein at the last, and I have conjugated my base verb according to my subject. Right? So that is why these are called separable verbs, because we are separating the prefix from the verb and putting that prefix at the end of the sentence. Okay. Now, if we see here, then we have some rules with it. So we have present and imperative tense. So when we talk about present and imperative tense, in that what happens is, as I have told you, prefix always goes to the end. So example, we have rufen. Rufen means to call. Okay, to call somebody by mouth, like hi. So when we call somebody with the mouth, like hey, can you please stop? So when we are calling with the mouth, it's rufen. But anrufen means to call somebody, like to call, not by mouth, but to call your mom, to call your family or anyone, that is anrufen. Okay. So here, if you see ich rufe dich an, I call you. In that case, what happens is we are conjugating this base verb rufen and we are putting this an at the end of the sentence, right? Then, whenever we talk about the modal verbs, in that case, what happens is, for example, we know yesterday, like in the previous video, we have seen that whenever we talk about the modal verbs, our main verb will always go in the last of the sentence in infinitive form. What is infinitive form? Infinitive form means the original en form of the verb. So basically, that is what happens is when we use it with modal verbs, then the verb does not split. Why? Because here will is the modal verb, right? What is will is the conjugated form of wollen is the modal verb. That is why our main verb was anrufen will go in the last in its original form, okay, without any separation or without any conjugation. And when we talk about the perfect tense, okay, you will see later on in this series, perfect tense. So when we talk about the perfect tense, we always have a GE form with there. So what we do is we always put that GE in between the prefix. For example, we have anrufen. So we always put this in between the prefix and the base verb. Okay, so we always put the GE in between. So here we have the example like that. Now there is some note that we have to see. What is that? So it is mentioned here, be careful. What we have to remember that all the prefix are not separable. For example, we have verstehen. So here we have seen what is stehen. Stehen means to stand, correct? Now I have told you that if some prefix comes with it, so here we have a prefix verstehen here, right? But this prefix is not separable. That means verstehen together. It's a verb which means to understand. So when you will tell I understand you, so you will write ich verstehe. I understand you. Ich verstehe dich. Okay. You will not write ich stehe dich. What is this? This is you. Okay. For. So this is completely wrong. You will not put this prefix because it's not a prefix. So not all the prefixes are separable. Okay. Only certain prefixes are separable and which are mentioned here. So whenever these prefixes comes with any verb, that means those verbs are Trennbar verb. And in that, when you conjugate or when you put those verbs into the sentence, then you just have to conjugate the base verb and you have to put the prefix at the end of the sentence. Okay, so that's all about the Trennbar verbs. I hope it's clear. It's not a very big topic, so we have seen a lot of different verbs by now: regular, irregular, modal and Trennbar verbs, right? I hope this video was clear and a short one. Till then, take care and see you in the next one. Bye.